So today I have the pleasure of introducing our esteemed guest, Quibula Graham. And Quib is with the Orlando Health, which has been a great partner of ours for many years. Quib has been, well, she and I really have just met each other recently. Quib, I'd like to introduce you, and please tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what your position is there at Orlando Health and how long you've been there and what you do.
Okay, sure. So I'm excited to be here today. I hope everyone has their coffee or their tea like me. We're all building up our antibodies too, so that'll be good for our throats. My name, so thank you, Diane. My name's, as she said, my name's Quibula Graham, and I go by Quib. I am the Senior Director of Diversity and Minority Business Development here at Orlando Health, and for one of our newer hospitals, Bayfront Health in St. Petersburg, Florida. So I've actually been in this role for a little over a year and a half now, but I've been with Orlando Health for almost 19 years. Actually, it is 19 years this month. I started off as a pediatric ICU nurse here at our children's hospital. I've been an adult neurology nurse. And then I've been in several management roles throughout the organization, which the prior one over coming to this role was in operations at our level 1 trauma center, our flagship hospital, Orlando Regional Medical Center in the downtown area, where I was responsible as an administrator for supporting our allied health and support service areas within the hospital. So I've always had experience throughout those years in supply chain and procurement, just because as an administrator, we are dealing with a lot of the contracts and businesses who'd like to come on and work with us. So even as I can tell you, growing up, I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. I was one of those that had a mother who had their own business as well. She was a florist. And so she was a small business owner and a minority business owner. And it was even before I knew anything about certifications or the support that you could have in the community. But I saw how she grew her business by networking and linking with other florists in the area. And I think that that's really something that's important for business owners to understand, is that network is really crucial to being able to thrive in your industry, but also in this economy, and make sure that you stay innovative, know what's going on, what new things are out, what organizations are looking for, so that you can do business with them as well. So that's a little bit about me. Diane?
Oh, that's interesting. So your mom was an entrepreneur.
Yes, she was. Yeah, and we didn't even, you didn't even think of it at the time, because I spent my summers as a child in the flower shop working. And so, it was one of those things too, that I didn't even have an appreciation for flowers back then, where when I started dating, I didn't even want guys to give me flowers because I was around them all the time and it meant nothing. I said, you're gonna have to do something a little bit more to impress me. But that part of but I love them now. Yeah, I even put fresh flowers in my home just to brighten it up. But besides that, yeah, that entrepreneurship, not realizing it back then, I can appreciate it more, and what it took for her to keep her business afloat whenever the economy went up or down, and how she even back then borrowed with some other businesses. I'll tell you a funny story, is that I had braces when I was younger also, and I learned that it was a relationship that she had, a business relationship she had with my orthodontist, where he would give his wife flowers every week, fresh flowers every week, and they bartered, and that's how she paid off my braces back then. So it was worth the investment, I hope.
Absolutely. Look at that smile.
Thank you.
Well, talk about, so you replaced Marisol Romani, yeah. Right? Okay, and so for those of you on the Zoom who knew Marisol, she moved to Texas for another job, and so that's kind of connecting the dots. So tell us about the supplier diversity role and what makes you passionate about that.
Yeah, and so she really built a great foundation for us here in this program of diversity and minority business development, where I came into, a well-oiled machine. But we know that there are always opportunities that we're able to grow in this space. So here at Orlando Health, we are always committed to improving the health and equity and quality of the life of the individuals that we serve in our community. And so we want to contribute to the economic development in that community. And as you said, Orlando Health has been a regional partner as well as a national partner of WEBIC for years now. And we just want to put good strategies in place to be able to put people to work. And that means more access to jobs, and more access to jobs means healthy families. It means better health for our community. So that's how we make the connection of the mission of Orlando Health and why we want to be able to help businesses in our communities to thrive. We want to mirror the demographic composition of the communities that we serve here at Orlando Health also. So we know that we live in a multicultural society, changing demographics regardless, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation. So we are interested in supporting the workforce, the workplace, and the marketplace. Women are the primary decision makers in their homes. So, as well as the primary consumer. So we want to be able to support them and their businesses so that they can support their families and give back to the community, but also, give back business to Orlando Health in the same way that we're supporting them. Some of the benefits of a supplier diversity program, and I know this is not new to any of you all, is to be able to understand and embrace and operate in that multicultural marketplace and the positive impact that it brings on increasing our economic empowerment and vendor diversity. So we want to provide equity in sourcing and in purchasing. And for large enterprises like us, it benefits us as well because it increases the competition in the marketplace. The more diverse suppliers that we bring in to the organization, it benefits us as well.
Absolutely. Can you talk about the process for becoming a supplier with Orlando Health?
Yes. So there are 3 avenues that you can build a relationship with Orlando Health and become a supplier. Our first one, of course, we work with Health Trust, our GPO, our group purchasing organization, and we encourage you to become a member of the Health Trust Network. And you understand that most organizations, large organizations, do this for economies of scales because it's a savings when you have an increased level of production. We know, though, that all small minority businesses aren't able to be a member of Health Trust. So we leave that area, a percentage of that, to be able to welcome those businesses and mentor them and coach them how to go through our bidding process so that they can enter our system also. That second way that you can become a supplier in our organization is giving us your information. And so we have a for vendors page. And I think Donna, my diversity manager, when she said good morning, she actually gave the link in the chat. So you can go and have access to that. The for vendors page helps us to connect with vendors. And it allows you to enter all of your information and documents so that we can put you in our database so that when there is a commodity or a service that we are now looking for a vendor, we already have your information on file in our database. And we've been able to establish a more robust supplier diversity work group where we review these monthly, and we'll bring all of this information to the table to see what is it that we're looking for right now that the organization needs. And here is a list of diverse suppliers, some that we may have worked with before, some that we may be looking to work with. And that way it will we'll be able to invite you into the organization to tell us what you have to offer. Another way also, of course, is if you're attending some of the conferences and we have leaders out there who are a part of our organization that you've made a relationship with, they may be looking for specific things, individual things that may not be on our radar. And when you have conversations with them, they will come to us and introduce you to Orlando Health, to our supply chain team as well. A third way, just as well as meeting those leaders, is that we have matchmaking expos, or we participate in matchmaking expos throughout the year. So in conjunction with our supply chain team, in collaboration with them, that's an opportunity for you to come and display your products and services to us.
Oh, that is great. And, you know, with most of the people on this Zoom, you all are used to going to things like matchmaking events. If you're not, please see Joanna or Stephanie or me, and we can help you with that. But we've had great opportunities at the National WeBank Conference just earlier this month. Yes, it's still June, earlier this month. And then we also
had in Atlanta, right?
In Atlanta, right?
Yes.
And that was good. And we had almost 3,500 people there. And then, so I always tell people, please do go to these conferences. It really is important for establishing relationships with the people you're interested in becoming suppliers for. So tell us, is certification important to you all? And what kinds of certification do you accept? Do you accept WeBank certification?
Yeah, absolutely. Certifications for us, and I think, you know, for the most part, people on this call probably understand the importance of it, but I just want to stress that, because you can never hear that too many times, is that certification brings with it a certain level of professionalism, first of all, because you know that these businesses have gone through a stringent process. They have been in operation for a number of years, enough for them to understand what they need to be successful in their business. It's a opportunity also for them to be able, as I said, to network with other businesses and develop best practices, where you have that network of other industry like businesses with yours. It provides several opportunities also as a certification that you're in. For example, WeBank, you're in a community of women-owned businesses. It's mentorship support. As I mentioned, my mom having her own business didn't have this support, and you may be the first one in your family, just like she was, to own a business. So you need that mentorship and that connection that you can receive from being in a certification community and the resources they provide. It creates access, it elevates your business, it increases your visibility, and it links you to corporate and government members of WeBank, so that you can foster those relationships and have equity in business and procurement. And that goes to, you know, with organizations or WBEs who have revenue over $10 million. You still can benefit from the services that certifications offer you and the organizations who offer those certifications. I can tell you that being I'm on the board of FSMSDC, and there are so many things that they provide as well, like a supplier diversity roundtable that you get a chance, as I said, to be able to engage and talk about best practices. They provide technical assistance. You know, this is all from getting your certification that you're automatically members of these organizations. But they also offer loan programs. If there are business loans that you may need to scale up your business, or even just to start a business, being a part of these organizations that offer certifications will allow you to be able to have access to those. So your second question regarding what certifications we accept any of the nationally recognized certifications. So that's minority business enterprise, women business enterprise, veteran business enterprise, LGBTQ plus business enterprise, and disabled business enterprise, just to name the most common ones. But any ones that are nationally recognized, those are the ones we look for. And it helps with us with our even our accounting purposes as well. When you are certified and you're doing business with us, that is a way for us to track and trend the number of diverse businesses we are doing business with, the spend that we have on there, and it encourages our organization and other organizations to look at certified businesses. So, and for us, and I say for auditing purposes, just because, there are unfortunately some people who are taking advantage of the label of being a woman business
Yeah.
enterprise or woman-owned business, and it's not 51%. It could be, their husband owns the majority of the business, but they're putting the wife in the front, but she's not a 51% owner. So I think that empowers also people to know that women are important in this organization. Let them be an owner of the business, allow them to bring their talents forward, and give them equity in this business.
Such an important point, Quib. When we do our site visits, that's one of the things we're looking for, is to make sure that the women who are part owners are not just 51% in name only, but also that they truly know what's going on with the business, and that they are taking the opportunity to understand how the business operates and that kind of thing, because that's really important. And that's one of the reasons that we do certification, is to try to advance the cause of women-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned, LGBT-owned businesses. That's really important. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
another reason too why I'm so passionate about this is just because owning your own business, there are three ways to be able to acquire generational wealth. It's either real estate, investing in the stock market, or owning your own business. And so that is one of the things that I think is important for, over time, people have gotten this education, and some people haven't, and they feel like it's too late for them to, but it's not. That's why it's so important for us to be able to support people who want to own their own business, because we want to help them to create generational wealth, whether it's for their families or it's for some other people that they're mentoring to bring up in this business. We don't want people to keep starting over. If you start a business, we don't want your business to go out of business. We want to be able to support you so you can pass that business on generationally to the people that are important to you.
That is such a refreshing outlook. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's important. If we all work together, we can make it. And the whole equity piece is important. Until things are equal, they're not.
They're not. Absolutely. Yes. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. We do get some pushback sometimes. People say, why should I become certified when I already get the business from some clients? But you want to be counted, and numbers count. And as you explained the process for how you all count the numbers at Orlando Health and why it's important to the corporation. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about your team? You mentioned Donna, and we definitely want to say hi to Donna Gilmer, who is on this call. We've had a lot of people join since we said hello to Donna at the beginning. Tell us about your team, who all's on the team, and how you kind of break down things. And then we want to ask you about the best way for us as women business owners to get noticed by your team.
Yes.
You went over that already.
Yeah. Sure. Yes. So we're a small but mighty team. I'm sure you hear that a lot in the DEI space. And that's, we're developing in this space, I think, across the industry, for people to understand the importance of this, what we're doing. So as we continue to build the ROI for it, I think you'll see more and more that organizations will invest in the importance of DEI and supplier diversity. But Donna Gilmer is my manager of diversity and supplier development. And she is such a wealth of knowledge. I think that, her background, she comes from even another industry, General Motors, in supplier diversity. And so she is usually the person who will be your connection when you're trying to reach out to our department, where she has even developed a program before I got in this role called Supplier Tuesdays, where it offers anyone, any business, the opportunity to speak directly with her, talk about your business, even some of the ones that are developing. She offers mentoring to them, helps them understand the importance of a capability statement, and how to differentiate themselves from the competition, and then even just give some insight on what Orlando Health may be, some of the commodities and services that we may be lacking right now and looking for, to give you an opportunity to bid for those. But that's Donna. Donna has probably put her contact information in the chat also. But that in addition to, I have another team member who is on our call also, Shannon McElroy. And Shannon is actually our health equity coordinator and educator. And so she works a lot with our internal team members, but also with a grant that we have, and being able to educate clinicians on addressing biostereotypes with the care that may be given out there, so that it's improve health equity. And it's Donna, Donna. I think I saw some person put that in the chat, and she'll be able to put her information and even the For Vendors website in the chat again as well. She also helps us to be able to maintain that database. So when you're getting your information on our For Vendors page, she's helping us to organize that and bring that forth to our supplier diversity work group also.
Well, Shannon and Donna, thank you for joining us as well. We appreciate that. There are, I think, 56 of us on this call, so that's very good.
Awesome.
Good. So, so the next thing we want to talk about is any kind of current opportunities. I know that they're very fluid, but is there anything you're looking for specifically that we might be able to help with today?
Yeah. So we have, and I'll start by saying this, just as I mentioned, we have a new hospital that we acquired over a year ago, Bayfront Health St. Petersburg. So, you know, with acquisitions, there comes reevaluations of contracts that we have out there. There's a lot of growth in our organization. So Bayfront Health won't be the last one of our hospitals that we either acquire or build. We're building freestanding EDs in Central Florida, across all of those counties that we serve. In Orange, Osceola, Seminole County, Polk County, we're moving into there. So a lot of the services that we're looking for, and specifically, I'll just speak for Bayfront Health also, but for Orlando Health in general, staffing. You know that there is a staffing shortage of nurses, and so we're always looking for staffing agencies to be able to help us out with those, and even now provide a more diverse offering of the workforce, if that's something that is your specialty. Because just as I said, we want to be able to mirror Central Florida and the community that we serve. So staffing, landscaping, cleaning, any of the trades that includes plumbing, electricians, locksmith, painters, carpenters, some independent contractors we're looking for, like copywriters or consultants, promotional products, software, and any other management services that people have. So that is, yeah, like I said, we're continuing to grow, and so that list may change. It's fluid. But for right now, those are things that we're looking for.
That is fabulous. So that's a little bit of everything, really.
A little bit of everything, yes.
And then some things that you don't know you're looking for that are kind of new products or services that people have. I know one of my friends on this call here has a medical product, or a couple of them have medical products you might not know about. So yeah. Definitely. Okay, good. So I'm excited that you're expanding into St. Petersburg. I actually went to high school over there and junior college. And so I know that Bayshore area pretty well.
Oh, good. Yes.
Of course, that was back when the dinosaurs were roaming the earth. So,
yeah,
it's changed a little.
They are growing also. And so, you know, they're building a lot of things out there. It's beautiful as it is because it's by the water already, but even there are several healthcare organizations there. And so we're even working on a matchmaking expo out there so that we can be able to connect with some of those other organizations and connect vendors with some of those other organizations who might be who might need some work with construction projects that they're doing also. So that's one of our big things out there is construction vendors and any of our subcontractors that we want to make sure have the opportunity to explore the work that we're doing.
We have a lot of those. And so, and I know Joanna is kind of in charge of that area over in Tampa, St. Pete. And we have a lot of members there. So we'll definitely be able to connect you. And if you'll help us when you decide to have this matchmaking expo, we'd love to help you publicize that.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Oh, good. Can you give us an example of a successful supplier and how that supplier kept in contact with you or changed the business, maybe as a result of this Tuesday consulting or that kind of thing? Give us some examples. You don't have to tell us the names if you don't want, but give us an example or two of how you've worked successfully with suppliers.
Okay. So one example that I can give is a WBE, a brand marketing company. And they were doing a lot of our work with 2 kids and education that we needed to be able to support our team members internally. But they have been very flexible in their offerings. So they're WBE and they're an MBE. And they would always ask us, are there any other services that we can offer you? And so that's one of the important keys, I think, when you're a business and you have a certain service or commodity, but there are other things that you want to scale up your business to. We're welcoming that. So one of their consultants had worked on, and I'll tell you, we just went through a rigorous process of applying for HEI designation, that's Healthcare Equality Index designation, and it's a benchmarking tool that measures how an organization is doing with policies and practices that you put in place for LGBTQ, taking care of patients in the LGBTQ plus community. So we applied for that, the survey, and that company came, they asked us, hey, we have someone who's worked in that area before on the HEI commission. Can we help you with your survey? And it was phenomenal. It made life so much easier for us to be able to navigate through that landscape. And this is something this is a brand marketing company. What do they know about survey designations and, regulations and all of that? But they offered one of their team members to be able to help us. And so we remember that. And, we'll be able to use them for that service for other things that we may be applying for. One other example too I'll give you is a cleaning service, and it's a WBE. And we were in the process of evaluating our current contract with our EVS services, our environmental services. That contract was expiring, and that's the time that you look at metrics and see if they've met some of those, if they've delivered on there. And so this WBE, they were not, and we needed some supplemental work. We needed some supplemental help. Joint Commission was coming, which is our accrediting agency. We needed to make sure that there were particular spots that were concentrated on to make sure that they were following regulations and cleaning. And they came in and helped us with that company there. That company even supported, because they were short on staffing, they supported. They came in and they delivered on their service. Well, right after we were preparing for this, Joint Commission didn't even make it because COVID hit. So Joint Commission said, we're suspending our whatever, but here we have now this company here who's been cleaning for us. And at that time, you can understand, okay, now we need to wipe down all services. Now we need to make sure that people are, feeling safe to come into the hospital, that they know that this area has been cleaned, that it's been disinfected or whatever. Her workers were there right on time for us. And so now they pivoted in this time, and now they were able to staff up to be able to support us in those efforts in all of our hospitals. It was just one hospital they started working out of. They delivered on their service before. We knew we could depend on him. We had a need for them now, and they were able to spread throughout our entire enterprise staffing to be able to support us during COVID. So those are two great examples that I can give on some, and fortunately they were WBEs, and so now they're a part of our organization.
Those are great examples. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, this has been so informative. We wanted to open it up and see if anyone has any questions. So I don't know if we should put the questions in the chat. Maybe that's the best way of doing it. And Joanna, you've been monitoring the chat. Do you see any questions?
Yes, so I have been monitoring the chat, and also Donna has, and so has Shannon. And so they've been so great with answering questions. So feel free to continue to add your questions to the chat. Someone said, how can I be part of Supplier Tuesdays? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yep. So you can, we have a diversity email address. Donna will probably put that in the chat also. But I think Donna's email address was in there as well. So if you want to email her directly and just ask her more information about it, because it's just a process of setting up appointments for those. Everybody can't be on the same Tuesday.
Yeah.
So it may take some weeks for us to be able to schedule you in for that. But yeah, just contact I think Donna put her information in the chat.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Julie, for that question. And then there's another one from Rachel. How can we get more involved with the Health Trust Network?
Oh, okay. So, so Health Trust, you know, what they've done also is they have developed a supplier diversity committee. They've branched out a supplier diversity committee out of their organization, and we serve on that committee. And a lot of times they're asking for organizations or businesses that we can recommend to be able to be considered for Health Trust membership. What we've done in the past is just if someone who has worked with us before, we will recommend them to them. They will come and they will have a showcase. They've had virtual showcases just recently where your business is able to come and do a presentation on what you do. And it's not, and Health Trust is national. So it's people other than in the state of Florida who are on that call who are able to see your business. They've done that for just people who we have relationships with. But when those opportunities come up, if you're interested in it, we can give them your information to be a part of that showcase.
Great.
Good. And we do have somebody who asks specifically, do you all accept WeBank certification? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
And I'm going to use this opportunity to say that WeBank works pretty closely with the other certifying organizations. And I always tell people, if you are qualified to certify as minority owned or LGBT owned or veteran owned, go ahead and get those. And I say get them in addition to, we have a great network of all women-owned businesses. Sometimes in your industry, whatever that is, it also is good for you to be a part of the minority-owned businesses. I'm not classified as a minority, but I actually go to a minority business events because I get so much out of them. You see some of the same corporations around and some of the same government agencies, but you also make great friends and partners that you can maybe partner with and team with to do some jobs. And that whole teaming aspect is important. I think, being brought in as a woman-owned business by a minority-owned businesses or teaming together.
Yes.
That helps.
Yeah. And that's, that's one thing also that I just want to bring up since you mentioned that as well. That networking part is really crucial. I can't stress that enough. But, just as a tip, when you do get an opportunity to bid on something, don't be intimidated by how large the bid is. But fill out the part that you're able to service and you're able to do. Supply chain teams like ours may merge 2 or 3 small businesses or through 2 minority business or a WBE and an MBE. So make sure you're not just dismissing that and say, well, I'm not even in the runnings for this. Go ahead and fill it out. You'd be surprised. You never know what can come out of that.
We so appreciate how you and your team help grow the businesses to actually grow and mentor the businesses that we have, because it's hard when you're first getting in as a new contractor or a new supplier. It's really hard to know how to, and you all act as our advocates.
Yeah.
You're not the people who actually do the purchasing necessarily. You're the advocates and I always think that's a good distinction to make.
Yes, we are the liaisons to make sure that people who can't get their foot in the door that they're being noticed. So that's very important for us. We always want to know how we can elevate or scale up a diverse supplier to eventually become a premier vendor for healthcare organizations. And I do want to say this too, is that, you know, one of the best ways to get noticed by Orlando Health is to make sure that you're doing your research. Do your research on Orlando Health, understand what a hospital in general purchases. And, you know, just like I've named some of those other services and products, it might be obvious to people that we, you know, purchase medical services, but some of those contracts may already be taken. However, just know, just like that EVS contract that I named, when it comes up for the time for their extension or their deadline, or renewal, they may not get it. So you have to be in the wings for that. We don't create the need. The need needs to be here in our hospital. So how does your unique product bring value to our patient experience, to our customer experience, to our team members? How does your company save our patients money? That's the question that we often ask. And then, do you have a better way of doing it than what we're currently doing? So I'll give you an example. We had, you know, in radiology, we have patients who have gowns on, and when they go to get MRIs, there's metal in the buttons. And so there was a company that came to us that told us that we make MRI, we make patient gowns where you won't have to remove the gown, you know, put another gown on a patient because our buttons are not made of metal. And for some of you, you may not know, but metal attracts into the MRI, and it is a hazardous situation for the patient. It can pull them into it. And so that's a safety issue. Same thing for the EKG pads. Also, EKG pads have metal on them as well. And you know that there are a lot of inpatients who have those on, they're coming down. And you're having to take this pad off, which is not a patient satisfier because there's a lot of different skin integrities that we have, and replace it with, you know, an MRI safe pad. But there was a company a small business able to come to us and tell us the value of purchasing these specific pads for the entire organization, as opposed to the ones that we have been using. And it was just a great opportunity for them to enter the system in that way, in a way that we hadn't thought of before. We knew there was a need, but we hadn't, you know, taken the energy and time to do it. Well, business did that for us. And so that's what we're looking for you to be able to bring us value. What is unique about your product that has advanced in technology for today? Another example is curtains. So you always, you know, in a medical facility, you see curtains up. During the time of COVID, we were having to take them down. You know that there's a cost in laundering those. When your patients are on isolation, they just can't be wiped down and clean. They need to be taken down. And so there was a business who brought us disposable curtains, and they were aesthetically beautiful. They didn't just look like paper curtains. You know, they had a design on them, and if you weren't that close, you couldn't tell that they were disposable curtains. And so all of those types of benefits, that is what Orlando Health is looking for, to be able to bring your business in and make you competitive with other people also. We know that we look at metrics too when you're coming in and we're you know, offering you a contract or these services to perform, is that professional certifications is one of those metrics we look at. Technical requirements, of course, depending on what it is. Do you deliver on your deadline, and are you cost competitive? So those are the four main things that we look for. If you want to know the best way to get noticed by Orlando Health, I just wanted to add that to the conversation, if it answers any of the questions that might be in the chat.
Oh, that's great. So the metrics, the professional certification is one metric.
Yes.
Your technical requirements, basically, can you do the job? You know,
yes.
Your ability to deliver on deadline, and your costs. And cost is when
are you cost competitive?
Yeah,
right.
cost competitive.
Yes.
Very good. I love the examples you gave. So those are really helpful, because there are so many people who have solutions that you don't really know you're looking for until you see them. So that's really helpful.
Good.
So thank you.